Hello, friends. Welcome. In this session, we are going to discuss about determining profession, business, career in a horoscope using Krishnamurti Paddhati, or for that matter, generally in astrology. How do you find out what a person is going to do in his or her life as a profession, business, or service? Now, this is a very challenging area. I would say this is the most toughest and complex areas in astrology, and not much research has been done keeping up with the modern times when the whole concept of business or service has become very complex in itself. Now, what happens is when you look at a horoscope. Let's take this horoscope for example. This is a horoscope in a northern style layout. This is the ascendant, this is the second house, this is the 12th house, it goes counterclockwise. So when you have to find out uh, the nature of a person, or the aptitude, likes and dislikes, the temperament, then you focus on the ascendant or the moon sign, and in a way up to some level of satisfaction, you can or one can find out about the temperament or the aptitude of a person. Now for the profession, one has to focus on the 10th house. So ascendant wise or temperament wise, things are a little bit easier, but when it comes to 10th house, then things become extremely complicated. And when I look at some of those books uh, solely focused on determining the profession of a person based on the 10th house, and or even when I'm watching some of those videos where a certain some kind of a magical formula is given to find out the profession of a person, I think that's all very over simplification, and in many cases those are very naive. And it seems that most of such authors have not understood the complexity or challenges involved in finding out the profession or the career of the person. So let's look at this particular chart. Like I mentioned, that when it comes to finding the profession of a person, then the focus is on the 10th house. Of course, there are other charts used, such as the Navas chart, or the D60 chart, or there are other methods like given in the Gemini uh, process. So there are various ways of finding it out, but it seems like the focus is always on the 10th house. And the by reading the 10th house and its a relation to various houses, then one is able to find out that what a person is going to do in his or her life. Now the issue is that and that is what seems to me, that the whole modern enterprise, the modern business or service scenario, has evolved in a way that most of these processes of uh, finding out the profession of a person, they just fall flat, or they are woefully inadequate. So for example, when you look at a horoscope such as this, okay, typically you would look at the 10th house, or the the Navas chart, or some other method, whatever you have in mind, and then you come up with something like if the Mars is predominant in the 10th house, then you would say, okay, this guy will go into a technical field. Or if Sun is prominent, you might say, okay, he's going to go into some kind of a government related job, or a business, or a post, or whatever. Or if Saturn is there, sometimes we say that one is going to go into some kind of a iron, steel, mining, and those kind of things. But what I'm going to tell you is that this process, this whole approach is very very naive, and it doesn't properly do justice with a horoscope. Like I mentioned, the time has moved forward, and it seems like the whole the Jyotish world is kind of lacking, is not able to catch up. And now, how many businesses or how many services, can you find out in a horoscope and attribute to that person whose horoscope you are looking at? Maybe one or two. Okay. Now, this horoscope, if you look at this horoscope, belongs to Ratan Tata. So uh, let me tell you what kind of businesses or okay. So here it is. Now, if you look at this chart and if you look at the kind of businesses, Ratan Tata is associated with or was associated with. I don't know if he is currently, the CEO or the managing director or is retired from that post. I think, some other person has taken over. But anyway, that's not the point. Now, if you look at this chart, this is a complete, this is a small list of businesses that Tatas are doing, and I made this list based on a very longer list on their website. And now, if you see pretty much, any area of life that you can think of, and they are involved in that. They have listed more than 100 businesses, and Ratan Tata, in a way, inherited this the whole Tata empire from his uncle, and so inheritance is also there. And but he serves as a, or he used to serve as a CEO or the managing director, so he was in a service. But anyway, the kind of businesses that he has been looking after or he has interest into it, just look at it. All kind of planets, right from Sun to Saturn or Rahu, Ketu, you know, any kind of business attached to any kind of planets, then Tatas are into it. So let's quickly look at it. Now, if you look at the second house, and let's say second house has some relationship with the 10th house, or the 10th house has some relationship with the second house, then you say, okay, one might go into what is called as a banking or investment banking, finances, and those kind of things. Tatas are there, they are into investment banking. They are into that kind of a sector. If you look at the third house, and you say, okay, if third house is related with the 10th, one might go into communication or consulting or so Tatas are there into Tata Communication is there, and they have TCS, which is a consulting, services wing of the Tatas. And I forgot to mention, for some of my viewers that Tata is, they are one of the fortune companies based in India, and they have business interest in more than hundreds, types of businesses, various types of businesses. Okay, so let me resume. So third house is also, for printing. So one of the most sophisticated printing press, I guess, in India, the Tatas, they also have that. I'm not sure if they bring out any newspaper or not, but it's not a big deal for them to bring out one. Now let's go into fourth house. The fourth house shows construction and automobile and uh, 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 so those kind of things. So and the hotels and all that. So housing is also shown by the fourth house. Now if you look at there's Tata Motors, they have Indian Hotels, and they're big time into construction also. So all these things are there, and they're building hospitals also. If you go into the fifth house is for the arts and the speculation and those kind of stuff. So I think they're already on the Wall Street and big time into all these stocks and speculation. And they also have these the Center for Performing Arts. So the activities related to fifth house, definitely Tatas are into it. Sixth house is you might say that some kind of medical related activities. So sixth house is Tatas are there into with hospitals and all that. And then seventh house is for alliances or at least in terms of business, is a major handshaking and those kind of things. Tatas are they have all these international presence, and they acquired companies out of India also. So they do business related to seventh house also. Eighth house is for many things. The one is insurance, so Tatas are into insurance, and the ninth house is into religious or educational institutes. And I'm sure Tatas have not built any temples, and I'm not sure about if they built any churches or not. But of course, their contribution in terms of education is huge back in India. They have Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, and they might be having other institutes. I'm not aware of it. 10th house is politics, and I don't know what other businesses are related to it. But fortunately, luckily they are not into politics. So, and 11th house, all social clubs, networking, and things like that. 12th house, for export and all that. So Tatas are big time, into export. And then if you look from the planets, point of view, they are into soap, they are into salt, they are into clothing. I mean, ceramics, chemicals, you name it, and they are into it. And if there is any business, that they are not into it, it doesn't take them much time. They have all the money, and a very good team, and it won't take them much time to get into that business. So now what happens is that if you just focus on the 10th house, and the the all the magical formulas that based on the Navansh or on the D60, and if you try to find out the profession of the first person, you can see with this example how inadequate that is going to be. So it's going to fall flat. It's not going to work out. Now you might say that this is some kind of a exceptional example, and not everybody has these kind of multifarious activities. Now that is what exactly is the point of this presentation or this video, and that is what I wanted to discuss in this, that this is not an exception. This is generally becoming a rule. And now, long back, people used to have just one kind of a business, or they used to stabilize into one kind of a service. But things have changed over a period of time, and now, if you look around, you will find your friends, relatives, colleagues, and so many persons that you might be knowing. They do more than one businesses, or they are into various kind of activities. You just can't have a magical formula and say that this person is just going to stick to this particular service, or a business. A person might have more than one businesses. A person might have two services at the same time. I know friends over here, and they have a 9 to 5 job in some small companies, and in the evening they go and work in McDonald, or in some yeah, these clothing stores, or these kind of stores. Okay, so in a way they have been offering their services in very two different kind of areas. In the morning they might be just doing shipping and handling for some company, and in the evening they might be working in some restaurant, who knows. So these are two very different areas. And then you might have I have one of my friends. He works for a government department, 9 to 5, and but he has his own business, and he has set up an online business. So when he comes home, and he devotes 2 3 hours in that business, so he is into business and he is into service. Now, if you look at the traditional, concept, including like in Krishnamurti Paddhati, Krishnamurti has mentioned that, if the 10th house has a relationship with the 6th house, the person might go into service, and if it has a relationship with the 7th house, a person, might go into business. But it doesn't seem to, work these days. And like I told you, the whole boundary between the business and service is kind of fizzling out, and you see all these examples all the time. And I have one of my relatives, and he works as a salesperson for a big company, and that's his 9 to 5 job. And then in the evening he becomes a stockbroker, and he invests big time in all these stocks. And I guess he made he must have made a plenty of money, from that business. So people are doing business and service. People are doing two services at the same time. People are doing multiple businesses. People are doing multiple services. So what I'm trying to say is that the whole the wheel of the Kalpurish, the the wheel of the time that has moved forward, and it has started giving all these opportunities to a person. It's not only about Ratan Tata, getting into so many activities, and it's about a ordinary, person. They get into, so many activities at the same time. I know one of my friends. He is a IS officer back in India, and but he is a very good writer also, and so he publishes his article, books, and I guess he is able to make some money out of that. So, so the problem is that how do you then define, the profession? What a person is going to, do in life. Now, if you say the profession is about how a person is going to be recognized in life, his 9 to 5 job, you know, so and that is what we should primarily be concerned with. But that even doesn't work, because if you look at the Krishnamurti's chart himself, or Krishnamurti's life himself, he used to work for I guess some government department as some kind of a inspecting authority. So that is what he used to work as 9 to 5. And but at the same time, he used to do his research on astrology, and I guess most of us, 99% of the us, they know Krishnamurti as an astrologer. They are not aware that Krishnamurti, used to work as some kind of an inspector. So you can't say that profession is the task one is doing that brings recognition. That means that it has nothing to do with 9 to 5 thing. It has more to do with what makes a person more popular. And then again, then you might say that the it's all about the source of income, how a person is going to make money. So that is what profession is all about. So when we say that, then we have to shift our focus, from the 10th house, and then every single house in the horoscope has a potential, to offer you something. And when we say that money is the deciding factor, then there are a lot of these I would say the officers in government or even in private sector back in India, they get all these money under the table. So money cannot be just a criteria for deciding the profession of a person. And because a lot of these monies, they change hands under the table, and that kind of money is more than what one would normally earn in a 9 to 5 job. So the whole idea is that the whole this approach towards profession has become so complex and become so challenging that it seems to me that we have to take a very different or an innovative approach. And one of the reason is, like I mentioned, is that the modern business or the modern opportunities have grown in a way that we need to redefine that what is meant by a profession, and what kind of opportunities life can bestow upon a person in terms of earning money, or in terms of being recognized, in what kind of profession he or she is. So that is, that is what I wanted to discuss in this session. And in next, video, or in a couple of other videos as a follow up to this, I would discuss, I'll take up a couple of horoscopes and try to elaborate, on this point, that how complex, this whole issue is. And I will try to share with you that what could be, the best approach in determining the profession or the service of a person. Because ultimately, when a client is coming to you with his or her horoscope, then you should be advising him in a way so that you don't miss out, on anything. So that's all in this session. Thank you for watching.